Welcome to Illini Drive at 107.1 WPGU on this Thursday evening. I don't even know what to call it. I don't know. Me and Josh are happy in here. I'm trying not to stress too much on this intro. It's your boys, Brendyn Jones, joined with Josh Pietsch. First time Josh is producing the show. He's learning the ropes about everything. So patience with him if he messes up. I was even messing up last week, so I can't even say anything. But I know it's Josh's second show since the game. It's my first show since the game. If you don't know what game we're talking about, you must not live in Champaign, because on Tuesday night, Illinois went to Ann Arbor and put the smacking on the Michigan Wolverines. Michigan was ranked second in the nation. Illinois was ranked fourth. Without Ayo Dosunmu, Illinois beat this team by 23 points behind a dominant performance by Trent Frazier and Kofi Coburn, really defensively. Man, Josh, right now we're not going to talk about stats. We're not going to talk about, points, rebounds, assists. How do you feel?
So I was watching the game, and there's like 8-10 minutes left or something, and all of a sudden it's a 28-point lead. Yeah. And I'm thinking to myself, no, this isn't real. I'm hallucinating. I'm having a dream. And then from there on, I was just like, well, clearly we have this. Like, Illinois is not losing, even though Derek Piper has his like 14-point underdogs right before the game started, by the way. We're up like 20-something points the whole rest of the way. The clock sounds. I'm like, all right, gave some of my buddies a hug and went upstairs. I wasn't even celebrating. Like, it was just so natural.
Yeah.
I was shocked.
It was, watching this game was wild, because I was in here with Christian Jones, who just started doing the radio show, just got in the rotation. And I was watching the game. We made it through the first half by the time the show ended. Watching the first couple minutes, which was weird because the Baylor West Virginia game had cut over it. So I was missing it. I was trying to follow it. It looked like an ugly game. I mean, 3-4 minutes in, it was only 5-4. Not a lot happening. When the game turned on, finally on the ESPN broadcast, we were seeing, like, the stats were put up and Illinois and Michigan were like a combined like 8 for like 37 on their first however many shots. It was a really defensive game at first. But then towards the middle of the first half, Illinois kind of kicked it up offensively.
Yep. And
I was like, okay. I remember leaving the studio. It was 33-22 at halftime. I was thinking, because I was on they had me on Illini Sports Night, which is the show. Obviously, Nathan produces it a little bit. It's the show. It's a live show that a lot of sports journalism students do. And I was trying to think about stuff I was going to say about the first half. I was like, it's really good that they jumped out to this 11-point lead, because I expected Michigan to put up a fight in the second half.
Yeah, me too.
I expected them to get their offense going, which it had done so many times in the past. And then I'm sitting at home, turn on the game, and the second half comes on, and Illinois just keeps going. Yeah. And they keep going, and they keep building this lead. And like you, I sit down with, 12, 11 minutes left, and they're leading by almost 30 points in Ann Arbor.
Yeah.
Without Ayo Dosunmu. I had no explanation for this. And then I sat down and realized, I'm like, Michigan's two best offensive players, Hunter Dickinson and Isaiah Livers, were completely stopped by Kofi Coburn and the mix between Jacob Grandison and DeMonte Williams, who was ever guarding Isaiah Livers during each possession, right? And it's wild because nobody in the Big Ten has stopped Hunter Dickinson so far.
The way Kofi did, no. Not at all.
Obviously, they beat Trace Jackson Davis in Indiana. Yep. They have obviously beat Luka Garza in Iowa, and they've dominated every other subpar big man in the rest of the league, except Kofi Coburn, who made him shoot 1 for 8. And not only credit to Kofi Coburn, we were talking one big thing about Hunter Dickinson is that we were talking about it with the Michigan beat writer on the podcast. Yeah. He said a lot. He was like, when Dickinson doesn't score a lot, he facilitates. He had 0 assists in this game. He was on lock. Like, he couldn't do anything. He looked like a freshman out there for the first time in the whole season. That's what was wild about this game. Like, did you ever see that happening where, Hunter Dickinson would have 6 points, four of them from free throws, and Isaiah Livers would shoot 2 for 7?
Honestly, if I'm being 100% honest, it doesn't surprise me that much. Like,
really?
Here's what I think about that matchup. I think it was a super underrated matchup going in. Not enough people talked about it. The Michigan wings and not Illinois not having Ayo kind of took the spotlight. But Dickinson, like you said, for the first time he played like a freshman. Like, Illinois won this game in part because Kofi Coburn did not play like a freshman. He really stepped up and played like the big man he wants to be. Like he only had I'm not looking at the box score right now. I think it was 12.7 rebounds or something like that. But what he did on defense to stop Hunter Dickinson, who had been on a tear, it goes like it's amazing. And now look what happens. The semifinalists for the National Player of the Year award come out today. You see Hunter Dickinson on it and not Kofi Coburn. It kind of leaves you scratching your head a little bit, doesn't it?
It's a little weird, especially, I think, for Illinois fans after seeing the game that had just happened. Seems a little weird. But, I mean, I try to remember, seeing all this, whatnot about Kofi Coburn. I think he should be in the conversation for Player of the Year. I think it's hard when you already have a National Player of the Year candidate to then go look at the next guy in that team. But I think he deserves it. I mean, 17.5 points a game, 10 rebounds a game, on like 60-something% shooting. But I think you kind of have to look at it the other way at Hunter Dickinson. I mean, this was his first bad game of the entire year. He shoots better from the line. He assists better. He rebounds well. So I'm not saying Dickinson shouldn't be considered, but I am saying Kofi Coburn. This was the game where Kofi was like, you guys got to put a little bit more respect on my name.
Yeah, because sometimes you don't have to put up the stats necessarily to be considered, and that's part of the reason Hunter Dickinson's on the list, period, right? Because he averages less, and you could say he's the quote-unquote best player on the best team in the Big Ten. I don't think he's their best player, actually, or he's definitely not the most important in my mind. But you know what? I mean, awards don't mean anything but at the end of the day, but it is nice to get appreciated. And 100%. If Kofi's, a little bit disappointed, which I don't think he cares about too much because he has Brad Underwood as his coach.
Yeah.
But you know what? Like moving on from like the Player of the Year stuff, like Kofi was fantastic, and then when Georgie had to play, I thought Georgie did really well too, covering what's their lefty big guy's name off the bench?
It's I know this.
I was just looking at this yesterday. I just don't have my laptop open right now on it.
Is it not Austin Davis? Is it Austin Davis?
It is Austin Davis. No, it's not Austin Davis.
Looking at these names,
I'll know when I see it. No, it is Austin Davis. Yeah,
that's what I was thinking.
And whether it was him coming in, I think he gave up one to Davis, but Georgie covering Dickinson, I think did a really good job too. So the big guys for Illinois definitely they game planned well, and I think it worked out for them because holding their big guys to 15 with Michigan seems amazing.
One more thing on the little award thing. I mean,
sure.
If you remember back when they came out with like their midseason Defensive Player of the Year awards, and Trent Frazier wasn't on it, and he was really hyper competitive about not being on that list, which I think he deserves a look. Especially back in when it's the midseason, they have like 30 guys on the list, so not having him on the list was kind of criminal. But then the next game they played Iowa, and he was really locked down in that game
on Bohannon,
on Bohannon, who shot poorly in that game and didn't really even get that many looks. But it's weird because, and I have to apologize. 2 weeks ago, when this team went to overtime with Indiana after Adesumu struggled, or maybe that was 3 weeks ago, after Adesumu struggled and then fouled out. Me and Nathan were on the radio show, and I told Nathan, I said, this team is so lucky to have Adesumu because without Adesumu, this team would be Indiana. They would be with a really good big man and a supporting cast that wasn't up to it.
It honestly doesn't sound like that bad of a take, even knowing what we do.
3 weeks ago, it wasn't.
No.
This team has shown that through the last 3 games, honestly, that they step up. Andre Curbelo has played out of his mind in the last 3 games. Trent Frazier has played out of his mind in the last 3 games. Not even in the last 3 games. In this stretch where they've won 10 out of 11, his scoring numbers are up. His numbers are up in general. Inserting Grandison into the starting lineup has been insane because not only does he bring the defensive edge that DeMonte Williams does, but he's also a more reliable scorer. DeMonte Williams on the bench, coming off the bench, is just an added boost. This team, I will apologize, it's better than Indiana without Adesumu.
Oh, really? Are they, Brendyn?
Now I know, and I messed up. I did. But I think it was insane to see this game because, like you said, I was watching this game and there was nothing in it that surprised me. That is how it's not like everybody was just shooting crazy amounts of threes and everything was going Illinois' way. They played solid offense, especially in the half court, which they hadn't really done since Adesumu had been out, but they can do it. We've seen it in the past. They played solid half-court offense. They played really good defense, which they've done all year, especially in the guard position. And the thing that was the key to this game was that they didn't turn over the ball a crazy amount. You see them in games, especially games that they should win. They'll turn over the ball 20 plus times because they're a little careless with the ball. They protected the ball like almost the best that they have all season, and it really showed. I mean, they had 12 turnovers. Michigan had 11, so nobody really won that turnover battle.
Yeah,
and that was the key. Like they never got the foot off the gas. They were so ready for this game. They were so prepared. As soon as the 10-minute mark in the first half happened, their offensive explosion happened behind Andre Curbelo. And then coming into the second half, Trent Frazier just went off, was hitting shots that were so amazing. Off the dribble, which I love. Usually Illinois' only player who's really scoring off the dribble like that is Ayo Dosunmu. Mm-hmm. The fact that Trent Frazier was able to show his ability off the dribble, which we hadn't seen in maybe 2 or 3 years, was really refreshing to see. This team is built for it. I can't wait till Ayo comes back. But in the meantime, I think this team, even without Ayo Dosunmu, is showing that they can be competitive with anybody in the country.
And you know what? This team can still win the regular season for the Big Ten. They can win a Big Ten championship. Mm-hmm. They can win a national championship. But something inside my brain always says, Josh, let's just think about next year. So with that being said, I want your opinion.
That's valid.
Because this team, Trent might come back. Mm-hmm. DeMonte might come back. Mm-hmm. If Kofi stays, mm-hmm. which, he's not in the top 60 of most draft boards.
Right.
If he does stay, could this team, with Miller improving a year, Curbelo improving a year, Kofi being a junior, could that team be better than what we're watching right now?
I don't think I try to pump the brakes a little bit, right? I don't
Mm-hmm.
think this team can be better than what they are this year. I think at the apex we've seen it like the second half of Northwestern. You've seen it in stretches, that Iowa game. I think having Ayo Dosunmu is what has led to sustained success. And I don't know if any player on this team can, at their peak next year, be as good as Iowa is this year.
Especially as a closer.
Especially
right?
as a closer.
Some people were saying, I said it myself, I heard people saying, is Illinois better without Ayo for the first 38 minutes? Meaning you need Ayo at the end, but the balance has been great. The efficiency has been up.
Mm-hmm.
I think that these guys like Trent, Curbelo, Miller, whoever, are just finally reaching their peak and stepping up. And then you bring Ayo into that. What I'm hoping we see is the best team in the country.
I think, no, this team is not better at any point without Ayo. I think they've played really, really well. I think, like you said, you have guys who have kind of been, because of how good Ayo Dosunmu is, kind of been pushed to the spot-up shooter role in Trent Frazier and in Adam Miller, that when they have the ball in their hands and have a little more freedom, there's a lot more going on. There's a lot of guys that can play make and shot create in this team with Trent Frazier, with Adam Miller, with Andre Curbelo. They have more freedom to do that when Ayo is off the court, but Ayo still has Ayo's always going to be consistent, like you've seen, right? Like Adam Miller had a good game against Nebraska. He has not had a good game since. Trent Frazier is probably the most consistent, but Andre Curbelo could also be a little spotty at times. Going back to your original question about next year, it's exciting. I think that Kofi Cockburn is really on a path that was really similar to Ayo Dosunmu last year, in which Ayo Dosunmu we've thought as maybe a mid to late second rounder, if he could put enough together in the Big Ten tournament and NCAA tournament, maybe get on the border of the first to second round. Obviously, he's improved, and he's kind of improved his draft stock with that. Kofi Cockburn is very similar, but a little bit further down. I think a late second round pick is probably his best chance right now. If he comes back next year and improves, especially passing out of the post, if he improves his free throw, he's improved his post moves and his shot away from the rim. Mm-hmm. He's also improved his attacking the rim. So he has things he can improve on, right? If he comes back, if he decides to come back, and guys like Andre Curbelo are given the ball more and are able to do that, and Adam Miller is able to have more freedom, maybe Trent Frazier comes back. I doubt it. The way he said on his Instagram, like, this is his last one in Champaign or whatever, or DeMonte Williams, I'm not sure if he'll come back, but I think this team has a chance not to be as good as they were this year. I think this is the conglomeration of all the talent coming together we're seeing right now.
Yep.
But I do think they have a chance to be a threat in the Big Ten and be up there top 4, top 3 in the Big Ten.
Yeah, I totally agree. Now, let's just say this. If Illinois gets to a Final Four this year, Kofi should go. He should go pro, and he won't come back. But let's say something happens, and round of 32, Sweet 16, we see an early exit. That plummets stock, right? So I think that if Kofi were to come back because that happens, I think that they can be a little bit better than you do next year if everyone returns besides Io, because just the way they're playing right now, having like basically the same team that you're seeing now a year later with all the experience together with Brad's coaching, plus Austin Hutcherson coming in, then you have like Luke Goody and the other Puerto Rican stud that they just signed. I really think that they can be top of the country.
Yeah, definitely. I would say with Kofi Coburn going pro, I think he needs to have a pretty much perfect postseason.
Yeah.
Like he can't have a bad game, which is a lot of pressure when you're playing 3 games in the Big Ten tournament and then
up to 6,
potentially 6 in the NCAA tournament. To have a 9-game stretch in 4 to 5 weeks where you're almost perfect is tough. That's a lot of pressure for him. So I think there's a good chance he could come back, right? I think that if he looks around and says you look at Luka Garza, who's the best big man in the nation probably, and he's projected around 46 to 50. I think Kofi Coburn, there's areas of the game that you can improve. And I think if you're not a guy that's going to be a one and done and you still have areas to improve and you're going to be on the national stage like Illinois will be next year, I think you should really consider coming back. You saw it with Io. He had things he could improve on last year to his game. He improved that, his playmaking, his 3-point shooting, his rebounding, all things that you could improve that he can do. I think Kofi, if he comes back and really focuses on being a better playmaker out of the post, having more creativity, having more ability to work the post and find open guys, that could easily improve his draft stock.
I think that Kofi, unlike Io after his freshman year, Kofi declared.
Yeah.
And he, obviously, Io said he was coming back. Kofi didn't hear what he wanted to. He heard from the scouts. Good for him. Bam, he's back. I think that Kofi may enjoy school a little less than Io does. That's probably something I assume.
He's also a little older than his age.
He is. So he's older than Io.
Right.
Yeah, because he's in my grade, but he's older than you.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So, I understand. And I understand, look, this is his dream isn't to be a college basketball player.
Nope.
His dream is to be a pro basketball player. So if that is what's best for him and his family, by all means, you've done more than enough for this team. Go chase the bag in the pro stuff. But I do think coming back, Kofi Coburn could be the best player in the NCAA.
Oh, yeah.
He's already, in my eyes, top 10 to top 15 based on how he's played only in the last 10 to 11 games.
Yeah.
How much he's improved from last year to the start of this year to where he is right now. So if that is at all desirable to him, he has that opportunity.
It's fun having 2 of the best 15 players, doesn't it?
Isn't it?
1 and number 10 or 15 or whatever.
I think this is a weird spot because at the end of the game on Wednesday or Tuesday, I really looked around and Baylor had just lost and Baylor had just been forced to overtime to a good West Virginia team. No disrespect to West Virginia, but they were trailing Iowa State late in that game, right? They had lost to Kansas, who has been up and down, but has been on the up and up recently. And Gonzaga, I've been looking at their schedule. They've obviously been the number 1 team in the year for the reason they haven't lost. But also they aren't playing the schedule that a lot of these games are played. A lot of their hard games were in the beginning of the year, having to face Iowa, who isn't as good as we thought they were, having to face they faced another ranked team. I can't remember who. But they're not in a great conference, right? So looking around at this game after Illinois beat Michigan without Aldisuma, I said, while I'm glad they're in a position to go grab a first seed, I no longer fear a Baylor. I no longer fear going up against the Gonzaga, which is a huge turnaround from how I felt in November or how I even felt in the middle of January.
I'll tell you one thing. Gonzaga and Michigan are kind of similar on paper. They don't want to play us. Gonzaga does not want to play
I don't
Illinois.
know if anybody wants to play Illinois. And that's the
Gonzaga
thing,
does not want to play Illinois.
Just for like what you said. I mean, when you have two of the top 15 players in college basketball, and then you have the best player go out, arguably the best player in college basketball go out, and this team still perform, like nobody wants to play Illinois right now.
No.
And people want to not necessarily avoid them, but try to get out of them as long as possible, right? So that's why I don't think Gonzaga or Baylor or Michigan care if Illinois get a 1 seed, because if they get a 1 seed too, then it'll be like, okay, we don't have to see them to the Final Four. A lot like how we've been thinking about Gonzaga and Baylor the whole year. But Illinois is on a roll right now, and it's important to keep that momentum going in this Ohio State game, which we could probably talk about a little later. Mm-hmm. And next weekend, starting with this Big Ten tournament, because they're at a really good spot. They're probably at the best spot that they've been all season in terms of confidence, coming off this huge win. And they got to keep it rolling, because you build this confidence into the Big Ten tournament, maybe go win the Big Ten tournament, and you bring that into NCAA, and you honestly feel like nobody can stop you. That's how you win national championships.
I agree. Yeah. Before we go to break, the last thing, I was listening to CBS Sports HQ today, mm-hmm. and they were on, and they were talking about Gonzaga, Baylor, Michigan, Illinois, everything that happened in the last few days, or on Tuesday specifically. So those two guys seem to think that unless something really weird happens, the number 1 seeds are a lock. It's over. I disagree with that, but if
who else could sneak in, do you think?
Ohio State, Bama.
I don't think
Bama wins the SEC, maybe.
I think Ohio State losing to Michigan, then losing to Michigan State, then losing to Iowa really hurt them. I think Bama maybe could sneak in. West Virginia losing to Baylor kind of pushed them out.
Baylor's not going to. West Virginia's not getting in.
But I think, look, unless Illinois loses to Ohio State and then gets upset in the Big Ten tournament, their first game, I think it's kind of hard to keep them out of the Big Ten or the 1 seed conversation, right? They're 10 of their last 11. They've been climbing. They're ranked 4th right now. There's an argument for them to be ranked 3rd because beating Michigan.
If Illinois beats Ohio State on Saturday, it's done. It's over. They are the 4th number 1 seed, period, in a sentence.
I think so too.
Unless they win the Big Ten, then they move up. But,
right.
Yeah.
I think before we had a break, I know you just said that, but before we had a break, I was on Illinois Sports Night talking about the game on Tuesday. And Mariah Guzman asked me this question. And I know I'm not as big as an Illinois fan as you, but so I have my opinion. Mm-hmm. But you look at this game on Tuesday, what we saw, and then you look back at 2004 when Illinois beat Wake Forest and Chris Paul.
Okay.
Wake Forest, obviously number 1 at that time, Illinois 3, and kind of solidified them as the best team in the country. What win was more important to this program?
So I've heard, because obviously I wasn't watching back then, but I talked to all the big Illini fans around me, and what I heard about that game against Chris Paul and Wake Forest was that when Illinois won that game, it was pretty clear in everyone's eyes, Illinois is the best team in the country, and it's not even close.
Yeah.
They're not going to lose. Obviously, they lost to Ohio State that last game of the year, but people legitimately thought that Illinois team could have won the national championship and gone undefeated after destroying Wake Forest, where here they're now probably, I'd say 75% going to get a 1 seed, and no one considers them the best team still. But you do it without your superstar, and now you're finally in the conversation for, like, people will take Illinois to win the national championship now. Like, experts will do it, analysts will do it. So I'm going to say the Wake Forest one was probably a little bigger, but this is the best win since then.
I had a different answer. I think because that game, obviously, being non-conference, being early in the year, I think it happened in December. Being pretty early in that season, it was nice because it set Illinois up for being the best team in the nation, which they were throughout, the entire season until they lost in the national championship. But I think this game, coming this late against a team that has been the best team in the Big Ten from start to finish, really, almost solidifying them for a 1st seed, and kind of, obviously, without Al DeSumo, in a year where there's so many expectations and there's so many things that could have gone wrong for this team, I think this win is just a slight bit more important given the Big Ten, conference, given all the stuff that's been brewing between Illinois and Michigan fans for the last 5 weeks since that original game was canceled. Also, I'm glad it happened this late in the season. Yeah. I'm so glad it didn't happen because Illinois wasn't as good as they were when that original game was scheduled. And this being so late in the season means so much more.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's my answer. But
if this is like we won this, we're not losing again, and this is like the propeller, this is like the leader, then yes. If we win the national championship, it will be.
Yeah, definitely.
Yep.
When we come back, we're gonna talk a little bit about this Ohio State game on Saturday, and then some NBA talk. All-Star Weekend is coming up, so me and Josh are gonna talk a little bit about that when we come back on Illini Drive 107.1 WPGU. Welcome to Illini. This is not welcome. Welcome back. There we go. I'm sorry. To Illini Drive 107.1 WPGU. So on Saturday, this Saturday, regular season finale, Illinois plays Ohio State, a team that they lost to in Champaign, I think in January. I have
January.
I think it's January. I have the game right here. I can look. They lost to them in stalling. I don't know what to say. They lost to them. It doesn't have a date. That just ruins everything.
Doesn't matter.
In January 16th. In Champaign, Illinois then is going to travel to Ohio State, Columbus. Not a big fan of Ohio. Kind of a weird state, but sorry to all our Ohio listeners out there.
Would you rather live in Detroit or Cleveland?
Those are like my
it's a real thinker, isn't it?
two least favorite cities.
Yeah.
Detroit and Cleveland.
I know. I go Detroit.
You'd go Detroit. I go to Cleveland because at least they had like LeBron.
Nah, man, I can't say I'm from Ohio.
Okay, yeah, you're right. I'll go to Detroit. Anyway,
sorry to hit you with that. I asked my buddy that the other day. He was a real thinker.
Illinois plays Ohio State Saturday in Columbus, Ohio for the regular season finale. This is a game in which Illinois probably played their worst first half of the season against this Ohio State team. E.J. Liddell was kind of his breakout game. It was Ohio State's breakout game. I think they were ranked, I forget what, maybe like 20th or something.
They were 22nd. Illinois was 15th, I think.
22nd in that game. After that game, Ohio State kept climbing. They made it all the way to 4th in the nation. So that game kind of gave them the momentum to play really, really well for the rest of the year. After that game, Illinois dropped all the way down to 19. Since then, they've been on the up and up and have climbed all the way to what they are now 4. So this game is a huge game for both teams, right? Mm-hmm. Illinois is looking to try to continue to solidify their bid for a first seed. Ohio State is trying to get back into that conversation if they can do enough with this game and in the Big Ten tournament. Try to get back to that conversation of being in the first seed. And obviously, I mean, it's a competitive game. I mean, E.J. Liddell was one of those guys who a lot of people hoped would come to Illinois, chose Ohio State. He's a sophomore, has been doing a lot for this team. Leads them in scoring, leads them in rebounds. A very tough guard for Illinois. I think that's maybe their most difficult matchup of the year that they've seen is that E.J. Liddell matchup. But going into this game, Josh, what are you looking for?
You kind of hinted it there at the end. I'm looking to see how they cover E.J. Liddell because I think that their guard play will get stopped by the powerhouse that is Illinois guards. And I think that last time Kofi started on him and he went, I think, 4 for 7 from 3, and Kofi could not chase him out on the perimeter. So he might start on him, but if it doesn't go well, I hope Brad makes the switch to either Grandison or DeMonte. Preferably Grandison, I think, because he's a little bigger. But that's honestly what I'm looking for. And then also they have to cover Justin Arns better, the lefty three-point shooter. Yeah. He hit some very timely threes that were absolute daggers, and I don't expect that to happen again. He only averages 6 a game, but he did score 11 against Illinois last time. So I'd say perimeter defense on Arns, and then inside and perimeter defense on Liddell with hopefully Grandison covering him. And if unless Illinois goes extremely cold from on the offensive side, if those things happen, I think Illinois should win the game.
Yeah, I think the Grandison-E.J. Liddell matchup, which I think should be the matchup for the whole game. I don't really love Kofi on E.J. Liddell at all. We saw him, for lack of a better term, get exposed that first game. Not anything to Kofi's credit, or to Kofi's discredit, but I mean, I think it's just hard for a 7-foot guy to guard somebody who's 6'7", that mobile, and works that well in the post and outside the post. But since that game, I mean, we've seen Grandison, before he started, used to average not a lot of time. Didn't get on the court a lot. And ever since he was inserted into the starting lineup, this team has taken the next step. I think you have to be more than comfortable with Grandison guarding EJ Liddell. When you think about the DeMonte Williams on EJ Liddell, I think DeMonte Williams is as good of a defensive player that he is. He's a little undersized to guard somebody like EJ Liddell. Grandison gives you a little bit more size, a little bit more weight. And the way that this team guarded Isaiah Livers and Franz Wagner, I think you have to be really, really comfortable with the same kind of game plan going in against EJ Liddell. But my X factor is Dwayne Washington. In that game against Michigan, as Michigan started to expand the lead in the late in the second half, Dwayne Washington, he dropped 30 that night, was really the only force keeping them in that game. EJ Liddell had been off in the second half.
Yeah.
We saw against Wisconsin, Demetric Trice really, really give Illinois a scare in the last few minutes of that game, and I feel Dwayne Washington having that same ability.
I think that I agree with you, but I really think that Trent is gonna. I understand the concern 100%, but that is I'm not nearly as concerned about that as I am Liddell, because obviously it is something to look at. But I trust Trent, man.
Yeah, I do
was
too.
Early this year. I was just like, Trent is undersized and he plays hard, but he's not the best defender. Then he goes and does what he does to Marcus Carr twice. Every single guard in the Big Ten, he puts the clamps on.
Marcus Carr, who has the argument for a first team all Big Ten.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So yeah, I mean, Trent Frazier has been phenomenal. Trent Frazier, who I think should also have consideration to be on one of those all Big Ten teams.
He should be all first defensive team, but
100%.
I remember Jeremy put something out today that he doesn't think he's going to get it, but he should get it.
I think he's a little underrated because I think Io also has the kind of repertoire as being a very good defensive player, and then you have somebody like Kofi Coburn who's a really good defensive player. He's surrounded by a lot of good defenders, but I think when you slow down, look at the tape, just see how Trent Frazier plays both on ball and especially off ball and playing in the passing lanes. Geez, he's so good. But I agree with you. EJ Liddell is the key matchup. If you're going to let anybody beat you, do not let it be EJ Liddell. He beat you last time.
Yeah.
He's some guy that loves to play Illinois because I feel like he
always plays well against Illinois. Both of his games against Illinois, he's put up career highs, I believe.
So this is a game where EJ Liddell really likes. It's his home state. He wanted to go here at least a little bit. And it's a game that he performs well in, you know what I mean? And he knows everybody's watching this game. Yeah. So I feel like he likes it.
I actually heard Liddell was never going to Illinois. Like, you know how it was like rumored for Adam Miller to go to Michigan, and stuff like that. Thing. But like, it turns out that he was never considering going to Michigan. Like after he put his top 3, I think it's the same thing with Liddell with Illinois. I don't think he was ever going to Illinois.
Yeah, I feel like, just
it
Ohio
sucks,
State.
But...
it sucks, but also like, I don't know. I think Ohio State is a very like luring program, and they have a history, especially in the last 15 years of doing a lot of good stuff in the tournament, especially. So
really well coached,
really
good football, good basketball,
good school.
There's no shame in going to Ohio State. I'd never go to Ohio State.
I definitely wouldn't, but that's because I'm not an athlete. So
yeah, that's more what I meant. Yeah, I wouldn't go there as an athlete. I'd go to Illinois. But so I wanted to ask you though, because we assume Io's gonna play, correct? He doesn't have to, but I think that
I don't know, man.
We assume he. Okay, let's say he does. Let's just say
let's say Io plays.
He's in. Is it gonna take a half for him to mesh back in with the offense? Are we gonna see a little bit of out of sorts from him and the team, or do you expect him to come in and just be flying on all cylinders?
I think there's a few ways. I think there's a few different scenarios that if he comes back. One, I think if he's not 100%, there's no reason to play this game. Mm-hmm. So
totally agree.
I'm operating under the assumption that he's about 100%, right? I think that they could either go full blown and be like, "Hey, Io, we're gonna throw you back in there and do everything you can to get back to what you were before the Michigan State game, and get his rhythm back so that he has it as soon as the Big Ten tournament comes." That is a little bit dangerous, given as well as these guards have played with each other in the last 3 games, Trent, Adam, and Andre Cabello. But I think what's more likely to happen whenever Io does come back, I think he's eased into the offense. I think that there's no way, like you said, you talked about the efficiency, everything that's been really good since Audasumu has left. I think that there's no way that Brad can sit back and look at this and be like, going back to what Illinois was mid-season, where it was Io and Kofi or nothing, is best for this team. I think that
it's terrible. It was awful. That's
awful.
why we played with fire so much.
That's why you lost to Maryland. That's why you lost to Michigan State. So I think Brad Underwood's a smart guy. I think these players have shown him that they deserve a chance to, be more highlighted in the offense. And I think that could be so much better for Audasumu. I mean, he's a guy that is taking a lot of shots a game, is taking a lot of punishment, is taking a lot of defensive attention. Having everybody spread out and having everything that leaves you in a spot where it's not like the Indiana game, where if Iowa has a bad game, the team is almost subject to lose, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's probably what would happen if Iowa plays on Saturday, but I still think he doesn't play on Saturday.
My prediction is he plays 20 minutes.
Yeah, I think. But here's the thing about Iowa, who's played like almost 36 throughout the entirety of Big Ten play since he started playing, is if these guys start playing like this more, Trent, Adam Miller, and Andre Curbelo, there's no need for Iowa to play 36 minutes. He could play 30 throughout the postseason and still be very good and efficient. Like this is the point where you want Trent Frazier to kind of spread his wings a little bit. You want Andre Curbelo. He had 11 of Illinois' first 17 or 19 against Michigan. That's what you want Andre Curbelo to do. Be able to do that, because for some reason, not a lot of people can guard Andre Curbelo when he's driving to the rim. And
for some reason, he's so shifty.
Well, he's shifty. But yeah, I mean, that's the thing. He's undersized. So him being shifty, him finishing that well around the rim. And you want Adam Miller to be able to get going. You want to see Adam Miller like you did against the second game against Nebraska. So I think he should play around 20 minutes, get his bearings and be as well as you can, because I mean, you can lose this game and still be in the conversation for first seed. Obviously, when you go to the Big Ten tournament, there's almost no margin for error.
If they lose to Ohio State and then get to the semifinals of the Big Ten tournament, I think you have a 1 seed, but that's going to be a really interesting discussion. If you lose to Ohio State, then lose the Big Ten championship game, 1 seed, period, end of sentence.
Yeah, I mean, it also depends on who, right? So, if they lose to Ohio State and then lose in the semifinals, but Ohio State wins the Big Ten championship,
Ohio State gets the 1.
You get the 1, right? So, I think this game shouldn't be about playing scenarios, because anything can happen in the last.
Just go win the dang game.
But yeah, go win it. Do what you've been doing these last 5 weeks, right? In these last 11 games, is do everything you can to win the game, and just don't let EJ Liddell beat you like you did last time.
Score predictions real quick before break.
Yeah, let's do that. I think Illinois is going to win this game 82-75.
So I'm sticking with the same exact prediction I had yesterday with Nathan, and it's extremely similar. I said 82-73 Illinois.
Really?
I got 9 points. Yeah, it was 84-73, but I was like, nah, we're not winning by double digits. Yeah. 82-73 for
What
me.
did Nathan say?
He was a little bit more high scoring than me. I think he said 86-80, something
Illinois
like that. Illinois. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
We're all taking Illinois as dangerous. We got to stop doing
dangerous.
That.
I mean,
we really got to stop doing that.
I know. I don't like it.
That's all right.
In the podcast, we all took Michigan, and I was so glad I lost. Never been happier in my life.
I remember last year, Gabby, Alec, Carson, and I were here, the 4 of us, and we remember that back-to-back home stretch where we lost to Maryland and Michigan State. Mm-hmm. We made our predictions for both the games at once, and we all had Illinois winning both.
I kind of want to switch my prediction now.
Don't switch your prediction. No, confidence. Confidence is key, my man.
So superstitious. That's going to lead us to our second break. When we come back, guess what me and Nathan are doing? We're drafting.
You and Nathan, excuse me?
Oh, my God. I'm sorry. I say that all the time. Me and Josh are doing. We're drafting our all-star teams. And I have a feeling that even though Josh is going to pick first, my team is going to win. When we come back on Illini Drive 107.1 WPGU. Welcome back to Illini Drive 107.1 WPGU. All-Star game is coming up. So me and Josh are about to throw a draft and pick our players Since it's Josh's first time on the production end, I'm gonna let him pick first.
I'm gonna say maybe I can get first pick since it was my idea.
It also
Sorry,
is
Brendyn. It was my idea.
Also is your idea, so you can get first pick, and also I love Josh.
So just so everyone knows how we're doing it, we're not picking AD or KD,
both
and
injured.
Because they're both injured, and we're doing the starters first, and then we're going with the rest of the pool. So
yeah,
I probably should have thought a little bit more during the break, Brendyn, about who I was gonna take.
With the first pick,
with the first pick, I'm on the clock. I am going to go with.
He's thinking.
I'm between two guys here.
I feel like there's like two guys, maybe three.
Yeah. There's two.
Thinking hard. I'm probably gonna pick the other guy. So
yeah, I will go with the King. I'll take LeBron.
That's probably the best pick that you could have.
Yeah, I'll take the King.
With the first pick or with my first pick, I'm going to pick the guy that I think is going to be the MVP this year, Joel Embiid.
I'll take Giannis.
Take Giannis. I'm not worried about Giannis. I feel like Joel can lock him up.
I was convinced you were taking Giannis. All right, well, that just made life a lot easier for me.
Giannis doesn't scare me that much. Joel Embiid can shoot better,
sure.
And he can defend better at the rim.
I'm keeping track, by the way. We're going to post this on Twitter after.
Okay, I bet.
Follow me at JPeach14. Tag yourself.
My second pick in the draft, Stephen Curry. Oh, no, it's your pick.
No,
because you took Giannis.
I took Giannis, yeah.
Give me Steph.
All right. I will then go with between two guys here who I really, really like.
Pick
both
Luka.
Of them. I'm not going for Luka. That's not who I'm taking.
Dang it.
Sorry I'm taking so long, man. It is a
you're
tough
fine.
choice.
You're fine.
Hey, get a lot of time to plan here.
Take your time because you're not going to beat me. So I want you to know. I know who I'm picking.
I'm going to take Kawhi.
That's who I was picking next. I didn't think you were going to take Kawhi, but that's fine. I love his defense. And for that reason, dang. Even though he's been struggling of recently, I'm going to take Jason Tatum because I feel like he is a guy that is just built for an all-star game, just offensive. But he's also long, so I'm not scared to throw him in on the defensive end, which I do appreciate in the all-star game, a little bit of defense.
I got Luka.
You have Luka Doncic?
Yep.
Beautiful. Because then I'm going to take – give me Bradley Beal.
Jokic.
And I'm taking Kyrie. I have a very small team, but I'm not worried.
Sorry, I'm just writing these down real quick.
No, 100%. Keep track of it. I love it.
Keeping track of this, and then you took Beal, and then you took Kyrie.
Yeah, so my starting lineup would be Stephen Curry, Kyrie Irving, Bradley Beal, Jason Tatum, Joel Embiid. I'm kind of scared about defense. I don't know who's really going to guard Giannis. I don't know who's really going to guard Kawhi. But it is what it is.
I love my team. Luka at the 1, Kawhi at the 2, LeBron the 3, Giannis the 4, Jokic the 5. I love that.
I'm just not scared of your defense from Luka or Nikola Jokic.
All right.
It's Joel Embiid's eating.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Here we go.
All right.
We're into the reserves now. Who does Josh want on his bench? Oh. Easy pick. James Harden.
It's a good pick. It's a really good pick. I think the first pick I'm going to take is Ben Simmons.
Nice.
Need that defense.
Yeah.
Definitely do.
All right. After that, then, if he's gone. This is where it gets tough here, Brendyn.
Yeah, it does get tough.
Who can win me a game?
I know exactly who I'm picking the next one.
I have a feeling I know who you're going to take.
I don't know if you do.
I think I do. Oh, man. I have no idea who I'm taking. Your
man's out there still.
I was just about to say, I can't decide, so I'll take Dame now.
Good. I didn't want him.
Yeah.
I'm going to take Jaylen Brown with my next pick.
Nice.
Really good wing defender, and I'm going to need that as Kawhi Leonard is. I don't know how I'm going to guard him with my stuff.
This guy I'm about to take is awesome in all-star games. Give me Paul George.
He is awesome in all-star games. The next player I'm going to pick is a guy that, because it's going to be the same rules as last year.
Yeah.
The whatever. I forget what it's called. The weird scoring.
I know who you're taking.
I'm taking Chris Paul.
Oh, not what I expected. All right, cool.
He's such a leader. And he was on the last year when they did that, as you can think about your next pick. Last year when they did that, they put like the best old guys out there. Like Chris Paul was out there, Kyle Lowry was out there, guys who weren't starters, but guys who I trust more than, Julius Randle at the end of games,
I'll take Zion.
Dang it.
Yeah.
Wanted Zion so bad. But I can live with that because if you take Zion Williamson, I got to bring it home to Zach LaVine. Give him to me. Give him to me. 28 points a game.
Great pick.
I love Zach
Awesome
LaVine.
pick.
Give me
For
some
that,
highlights.
I'll take my equivalent. I'll take Booker.
Take Booker. I don't want Booker anyway. Give me Donovan Mitchell. My next pick. I need to pick some big men.
Yeah, Rudy Gobert, thank you.
Take him. Give me Nikola Vucevic. I think he's a little underrated, and I would take him over Domantas Sabonis.
All right, who do we have left here? We got
Sabonis is still on the board.
Not Jaylen Brown.
Not Jaylen Brown. So it's just Sabonis
and Julius Randle.
So take your pick.
Who do you want?
Who do I want?
Yeah, I'll give you who you want. Who do you want?
You know what? Give me first time All-Star Julius Randle.
All right, yeah, I'll take Sabonis then.
I love it.
Yeah, that's fine.
If you guys are listening, follow Josh on Twitter. Follow me on Twitter too. Josh, you say your Twitter right quick.
At JPietsch14.
Follow me, Brendyn_Jones, BRENDYN. I know I spell it weird. Tell us who won. Who's gonna win? Look at these lineups. Josh is gonna post it shortly after the show.
I'll just say it again real quick.
Yeah.
So,
and we can both make our arguments about who we think is gonna win.
So Brendyn is going with Curry, Beal, Kyrie, Tatum, and Joel starting with reserves of Ben Simmons, Jaylen Brown, Chris Paul, Zach LaVine, Donovan Mitchell, Nikola Vucevic, and Julius Randle. I'm rolling with Luka, Kawhi, LeBron, Giannis, and Jokic starting, and my bench is
scary.
Harden, Dame, Paul George, Zion, Booker, Rudy Gobert, and Domantas Sabonis. I'm 100% taking my team, no doubt about it.
I think you have a better starting lineup. I think you have a better starting lineup. I think I have a better bench.
I disagree. James Harden, Paul George.
That's all you have. James
Dame,
Harden. Playoff P.
Rudy Gobert.
Take playoff P. I don't want him.
He's awesome in all-star
Way
games.
off P. That's what I call him.
I love my team. I think that the people listening would agree.
Here's what I would do.
Take a caller.
If I was the coach, I'm going to sit Kyrie Irving as fast as possible and put Ben Simmons out there.
Not CP3?
No, because Ben Simmons is going to guard that big lineup that you have in your starting lineup. That's terrifying, bro. That's the only reason I picked Ben Simmons is because you freaking have a Monstars all-star lineup against my short people. But we're going to outshoot you, and that's what it is. And nobody can guard Steph Curry. Nobody can guard Bradley Beal. And Kyrie's going to embarrass Nikola Jokic at the paint. So
no, he's not. That's funny, but no. Dude, I seriously love my team.
I like your starting lineup.
I was going between LeBron and Giannis, and you let me have both of them. That was a mistake, Brendyn.
I'm not worried because
Jokic and Gobert are going to put the clamps.
No, Joel Embiid's not going to let Giannis Antetokounmpo score in the paint.
Okay.
Sure. Oh, he's his child.
He's a long arms, reach.
So does Joel Embiid. And Nikola Jokic is you don't even have that, your shooting doesn't scare me at all. How are you going to outshoot me with guys who can, kind of shoot? And I have...
D-Book, Dame, Luka, Kawhi,
bro,
LeBron.
LeBron is situationally okay three-point shooter.
He's an all right three-shooter.
Nikola Jokic is... you're going to have to get him on screen and rolls, or screen and pops. Kawhi Leonard, okay, yeah, a little bit. Luka Doncic is okay.
What are you talking about?
Giannis can't shoot.
Yeah. I know Giannis can't shoot.
I'm compared to my guys, Stephen Curry, Bradley Beal, Joel Embiid, Kyrie Irving, Jason Tatum. I'm gonna run a 5 out on you.
You're insane.
I'm gonna run a 5 out on you. You're not gonna be able to score, or you're not gonna be able to stop me.
I'm gonna post it on Twitter, and in the replies, I bet you Gabby likes my team.
I bet she does. I bet she does because
Gabby's smart. She's smart and beautiful and the best editor I've ever met, and probably my favorite person. Huh?
Did you read her story? I'm gonna plug her story real quick. If you're listening, hop on the Daily Illini. She just did a really, really awesome long form feature on baseball player Cam McDonald. Talked about how was really good his freshman year, struggled last year, his sophomore season, but how over the coronavirus pandemic he has reflected and is gearing up for the season to start. Very, very good. Very well reported, very well written. So go read that if you guys have time this weekend. But we're gonna get out here a little bit early. I know the next crew is dying to get in here, talk to y'all. But yeah, this has been the Line I Drive on 107.1 WPGU.